Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. Today, we're going to be talking about performance reviews, but specifically what happens after a review is completed. Most more organizations have figured out how to run review cycles. What's much harder is making sure those reviews actually lead to development, learning, and better people and talent decisions. I'll spend the first part of this session walking through how we think about that problem, and then I'll show you what it looks like live inside PerformSpark, the performance management solution leg of our growth triangle that we will see. One thing I've consistently seen across organizations is this. The failure point in performance management usually isn't the review itself. It's everything that happens or doesn't happen after the review is submitted. Feedback gets written, forms do get completed, but development actions are inconsistent. Managers interpret things differently, and HR often loses visibility into what actually changes as a result. Today's focus is that gap, what happens after the review, and how we design PerformSpark specifically around closing that gap. Before we go any further, let's ground this in your reality. You should see a poll on your screen now. What typically happens after a performance review is completed at your organization? It's a single choice question. Give you a couple seconds to respond. Ooh, so we got some responses already. Let's take a look at the results. Yes, this pattern is extremely common. As you see, no one almost chose the top option. In most organizations, follow through after reviews depends heavily on the individual manager. Some managers do a great job, others struggle, and the system doesn't really help. That's not a people problem, that's a system design problem. You can see our growth triangle here. Pay, performance, and learning are all hyper-connected. At PerformSpark, our core belief is simple. Performance reviews should be operational triggers, not static documents. A review shouldn't be the end of a process. It should be the input into what happens next. When feedback is structured properly, it becomes a signal, not just a comment. That signal can and will and should inform development planning, highlight learning needs, and support calibration and pay discussions over time. That's why PerformSpark is built as part of a connected platform rather than a standalone point solution. And it's also why we don't gate any performance functionality behind tiers. Out of the box with our solution, you will get calibration, IDPs, PIPs, surveys, as well as advanced reporting and analytics out of the gate. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is also AI that also comes out of the gate. If something we deem is essential to effective performance management, it's part of the workflow, not an upgrade. Here's how that difference shows up in practice. In traditional performance systems, reviews are infrequent and backward-looking. Manager feedback quality varies widely. And once that review is submitted, that process usually starts. PerformSpark is designed differently. Reviews start to begin looking forward-looking. Managers get guidance while writing feedback, and reviews are designed to trigger next steps, particularly development actions. The difference isn't just better forms, it's what the system does after feedback is captured. Let's check one more thing. How consistent is follow-through after reviews across managers today? A little bit more context on this question. What we mean by follow through here is what happens after one-on-one discussions, development plans created, PIPs that are created for some underperformers, and essentially what happens next. How do we bridge the talent gaps that we surface and compensation issues that arise? So we got some responses. Yes. So this sort of inconsistency that we see is why structure matters. You can't scale development or fairness by hoping every manager does the right thing. You need a system itself to support consistent outcomes. So practically, what does this look like? PerformSpark provides structured, role-based performance reviews, so feedback is relevant and consistent. Managers get guided prompts that help them write clearer, more actionable feedback, especially useful for less experienced managers. Every completed review flows directly into a development plan, so outcomes don't get lost. HR gains real-time visibility into feedback quality, participation, and follow-through, not just completion. And again, this is the full performance workflow. We don't gate these capabilities or hide them behind add-ons. A quick note on AI, since it's top of everyone's mind, and I'm sure that it is impossible to stay away from these conversations internally and externally. In PerformSpark, AI is assisted, not autonomous. It helps managers with prompts and language clarity. It helps surface patterns across reviews and surveys, but humans always own the feedback and the decision. The goal of AI, in our thesis, is that it shouldn't replace judgment. It's to improve the quality and consistency of it and automate some manual workflows like template creation, competency creation, elements, things that, and survey questions as well that AI can help with for specific roles. This is where we find where AI can be truly a powerful addition to your HR tech stack. When you put all of this together, you get a continuous loop. Reviews generate structured signals. Those signals inform development actions, survey insights, and calibration discussions. Over time, that improves performance conversations themselves. Rather than performance being a once or twice a year event, it becomes part of an ongoing growth cycle. Now, let me show you what that looks like inside our platform. I'm going to be switching over to PerformSpark now and walk you through some of the high-level items in our solution. So this is PerformSpark. I am currently, as Michael Thompson, I am the CEO and also an admin role just for demo purposes. And this right here is our intro screen that comes in for under the company tab. Within workforce and organization and integrations, that makes up Trainery Core. And we mentioned as part of Trainery broadly, we also have compensation and learning solutions that a vendor HR leaders are able to purchase as well. And that's why our core is so important. Being able to use your job grades, your position to really calibrate pay discussions is going to be centered around this aspect of our platform. To slightly walk through this a little bit, you can see this is for the admin, the super user, your HR leader that owns the performance process. Here, you can also see scoped HR, slightly different numbers. For this person, he is a super admin, so scoped HR and the admin role are relatively the same. In scoped HR, this is particularly useful for HR business partners. HR business partners may control certain locations, certain departments, and they would like a different view than an entire org-wide view, and just for role-based access control for security and visibility purposes. We also have a manager view for managers in your mid-levels or your senior VP or C-suite level hires that can look at their organization in a one easy view. Additionally, in our core, we have the list of our people, where you can be able to import and add employees seamlessly. We're also allowed to bulk import, and in this, which I won't go through now, is allowing AI to help assist in creating your org structure. AI will assist you in creating this sort of outlay where it has the org structure laid out by the business head of that unit, subunit, department, or team. Here, you can see, for us, a little bit of an issue here, sorry. There are some direct reports here that allow the super admin to be able to see who reports to who. And here in our dummy account, of course, there are few, but for James Anderson, which is who we use primarily for our manager view, you can see the direct reports that James Anderson has to more senior leadership. Also here in our portal, you can see that this is very customizable. I'm able to add widgets that I see. And here, given this is just for PerformSpark and just a performance management solution, you'll be able to add and remove widgets that are most important to you. So highly customizable, and gives you a great login where you can see your pending tasks, your pending reviews, your feedback, one-on-ones, check-ins. All of that can be centered right here with good user card here that can show you the reportees that you have. Moving on slightly to our dashboard. This is a HR dashboard that I've set up that I think is important to me. What's also very cool here is you can add widgets. And if you purchase multiple solutions through Trainery HCM, you will be able to add widgets from our compensation and learning platform as well. So this can become the center of your talent enhancement or intelligence platform. One cool feature here is you're allowed to share these dashboards. I can send this dashboard off to a manager that I think is important, or a fellow HR colleague that I would like to also have the same data and visibility. Moving on more into our cycles. What we allow is all different types of cycles to be created. Standard anniversary cycles for companies that prefer to have based on hire date. So every year, based on whether you're hired at the beginning, end of year, mid-year, whatever the case is. An onboarding cycle. So if you want to check the status and performance of an employee that was newly onboarded, those cycles can be created here, as well as a check-in cycle and the 360 feedback that we all are now starting to use heavily. So moving on a little bit more to rules. In the standard performance cycle, you of course can run it sequentially or parallel. You have visibility toggles here. And one thing I would like to say about our platform is highly configurable. And in this way, you can have it where managers' comments can be visible, HR can see, manager can see employee comment as auto-clicked here, and as well as timing and being able to set this all up with your notifications as well. One very cool part about how we connect these workflows is linking the reviews. So here, if I can link the 360 feedbacks, I can link these items here. This is very important for the true visibility of a manager reviewing an employee. And a little bit more some admin stuff that you're all probably highly aware of is the rating scale and overall summary rating. And the interesting thing that we put into our cycle creation process is including the calibration workflow into it. So in this way, you can create your bands as how many people you would like in your highest rating band, which will inform our calibration conversations that I'll also show you briefly after this. And one other thing is that we have our hierarchy and a manager-driven approach. Hierarchy approach is more common in enterprises with strong top-down mandates and directives, but we also have the manager-driven approach, where managers are the final authority of the calibrated review. And like many performance reviews, you have who the approver will be. So going into what it looks like, I am going to go into one of our cycles here. And this is what it looks like as the HR manager. This is the manager view as well. And this would be an employee review, what the employee view would look like. So going back to our HR manager, we lay it out pretty seamlessly across our flow. Reviews sit right here. And I want to jump into one component that I think is an interesting part of how we're trying to connect our workflows. As you can see here, I'm the HR person, and in this cycle created status, I am not the HR is not the approver. The manager is the approver. So in this case, you can see how the review has been submitted. You can see the employee has written 5s. You can see that the manager doesn't quite agree. But one cool thing that you can see here is that this performance review can be summarized by taking in goals, linked reviews such as goals and IDPs, PIPs, as well as your check-ins. So here we can go in and again, we'll always like to flag that AI can contain some inaccuracies. So please always vet with a human. And this is summarizing it. And the summarizer is really valuable as it comes to when the manager is writing the review, right? When you have linked reviews and you've had several conversations, one of the things that we really like to avoid is recency bias. And this summarizer will allow you to avoid some of that recency bias by being able to address things that might have happened earlier in the year for your year-end performance review. And over here, the manager can also see the linked reviews. And in this case, the 360 feedback was done anonymously. And here, as well as any goals that were created by the team. As another part of the workflow, we have calibration, very important for mid-market and enterprise organizations to be able to really see what's going on in the organization beyond some biases. So this is what our calibration workflow really looks like. As you can see here, our cohort are the people, are the participants that we will be calibrating as the employees. Cohort, sorry, I apologize. Cohort are the employees that we will be calibrating. The participants will be the managers that will be part of this discussion. One important thing to note about this is that calibration is quantitative and qualitative. So we want all performance aspects to be tracked within our platform. We know things can be in Slack and Teams and written documents, Word documents, but this right here gives you a way to note all of these things down where this can be written as a message about David Miller. Obviously will not be shared with David Miller, but helps inform the conversation as you have your calibration meetings at the end of your year. Of course, you'll be able to upload documents that you see, and you will get a report in analytics, depending on your organization, where you have DEI insights, as well as a distribution analysis. Approval, in this case, will go to our, in this cycle, we are able to approve it. And here, approval is before delivery to the employee, where they acknowledge it in the way we've developed our cycle. So here gives us an ability to see the reviews, being able to approve or not approve. And delivery is important for employees that are, sorry, there's no data here because nothing is available for delivery, and I am not an employee. But if you are an employee, you would be able to see the delivery of it, and you would acknowledge and move on. The 360 feedback is an important part of our integrated workflows, and 360 reviews can also be done concurrently while you create your cycle. A little more here, you're able to add your nominations, close nominations. You're allowed, HR is allowed to nominate. You're allowed to nominate external stakeholders as well. Moving on a little bit more for our check-ins. This you can see is not appropriate. I have one for Alex. Okay, sorry. So the PIP that we put for this dummy account is within Alex Morgan, and you can see that this PIP was created by me, Michael Thompson, and is currently in progress. These PIPs are part of our, it's a part of the performance workflow and can be done independently if need be by creating an independent cycle. So PIPs are, the way we think about it is PIPs are a part of the performance cycle workflow, unlike IDPs that can also be independent. Here, you allow the ability to create PIPs, which are typically done by HR. Moving on a little bit more to our talent, these grid cycles, the 9-box talent grid, are only available for HR to see or role-based access as you decide as part of our role-based access control. Here we have an IDP for Alex Morgan that we created. So here you as well can create a goal-based IDP where you're allowed to track to a metric, to something that's more qualitative, or anything that you choose. So an example here is achieve a 10% increase in leads. You'll be able to, if I'm Alex Morgan, and in this case, I have the ability to access it, and it's two-way. So Alex Morgan and Michael Thompson would be able to track this in tandem. Here is our goal view. And within goals, you can see we have our goal builder, where we allow managers, employees, and the HR manager, of course, and executives to create goals. The interesting part of our goals software is this the ability to create cascading goals, right? So if the CEO or the C-suite is requesting an increase or wants to target an increased revenue of 50 million, what does that mean for every aspect of the organization? And this right here is an example of what that would look like as it cascades. And here gives HR or C-suite a good high-level overview of that across the organization and how that cascades down across the org structure. So here we can see, some sort of key goals that we've created for these employees. Here we can see that one is pending and one has been completed. Another factor that I want to get into briefly as I go into organization is how configurable our back structure is. This is very important as we become more autonomous and AI becomes a bigger part of our systems in general across the world. We want to make sure that we're very tight on how who gets to view what and the security and visibility. That being said, we have a standard of around 6 type of roles. Admin being the super admin that has total access, pretty much can say that they own the system. The employee role here allows the ability for them to view, and you can allow them to create one-on-ones. You can allow them to create templates if you so wish. Here we have an executive view. As you can see, by default, it is slightly more expansive than that of the employee. This is similar to that of an admin minus a few sort of back-end factors and accesses. But here, this is the global HRBP. So if you are the CHRO of a global enterprise, this gives you full access to everything that's going on in your organization. Some organizations, usually larger ones, want to kind of scope down what the HRBP will have access to. And here, this can be done in this role as well, created for how the org structure is there based on the users that you have. So finance can have an HRBP, and they will be the HRBP of that department, and they will only have this access for that department. Of course, we have the manager role here, what they can or cannot do. Briefly want to get into something that is typically gated behind add-ons and additional modules. Then I'll open up for a few final minutes of questions, is our survey module. We are continually improving this, adding more insights and sentiment analysis that we're happy to share in a demo later. But here we allow survey creation. You can create your templates. You can create the settings here, notifications, reminders, and how that will be distributed. This can also be done to external participants. Of course, anonymity is key, so by default, everything is anonymous. Here is a high-level overview as an HR super admin of what that looks like across the surveys that have been done. You'll be able to see response rates, average score, and NPS of your employee satisfaction. They will have question level analysis, as well as our AI tool when it comes to free text sort of questions that are very important for organizations as they create their surveys, is being able to aggregate all the words. There are probably thousands of words that are coming across large organizations for simple questions, and being able to have sentiment analysis based on that free text. Another key component that I'd like to show in the few minutes we have left before opening up to questions is our reporting and analytics. Again, So reports sit independently, but analytics is all across our platform. You'll be able to see statuses of a lot of different things. So one report that we want to share is our Q2 2025 overall employee summary. And over here, I'll be able to view this and export it and send it off to senior management or your board if required. You also can create reports right over here and set the frequency. This can be essentially an auto email that's sent to you, say, every Friday morning, every Friday night, and that can be done as well. And there are other things in something that I mentioned in your profile. Yes, this is another component that I wanted to share is your document storage. So this does very important for our core, where you're allowed to put in all your employee handbooks and manuals for everyone to be able to access in this platform as well. Because we want this to be the end-to-end solution for all your performance management solutions, if not more, such as compensation and learning as well. To kind of close the loop as we're running out of time here, you can see that this is how our integrations can be managed. Integrations can be done self-service if we have the connection to them. If not, please reach out to us and we're happy to build our API connection to them as well. You can choose with some of the largest vendors in the space that may be your HRIS or payroll vendor and connect it. So employee imports or people getting offboarded will be seamless and does not require manual input. Speaking of offboarding and onboarding, that is another component of our surveys that I would like to quickly show before opening up to questions, is that these will be exit surveys and onboarding surveys can be automatically sent to imported employees and offboarded employees by putting in their either work or personal email for offboarding employees. And this will be automatically done by the settings that you create.